More Americans are now tapping into their 401ks, and it's not because they want to, it's because they have to. How many of you are becoming more desperate for money that you have to endanger your future retirement just to live in the present? The United States and its electric grid is fragile. It's kind of like glass if you ask me. But still, despite knowing this, nothing's being done to keep it secured and strong. You have to wonder, how is this all happening if the green agenda may be connected to it? The power grid that we have affects everyone. And if this was all being done on purpose, what motive do you think these people would have? To scare us? To make our government officials look weak? Or is this more of what something like the World Economic Forum would want, which aims to steer us toward renewable energy? Now, before I continue, please take a second, smash the like button for the video. We have to keep the facts out there so that more people can learn from these videos. And if you're new here, feel free to subscribe for your daily dose of the truth when it comes to the state of our economy, the stock market, the housing market, Social Security, SSI, SSDI, and everything that's going on in Washington, D.C. that affects our lives, our families, and our bank accounts. Also, if you own a home, make sure your home is protected. Get your free home warranty quote. There's a link in the description of this video down below. Do you enjoy it when your parents pay for your stuff? I guess when we were younger though, right? Especially since when we were kids, we couldn't go out and make money, right? But as we grow older and money-making opportunities open up, we start to make money of our own. We start to become a little bit more independent. We use our own credit cards, we move out into rental properties and become responsible adults. This normal sequence of life is being altered as times have changed. And it's gotten so bad for some that they're running to their parents for help. A recent poll has shown that almost 24% of millennials have their parents pay for their rent, but not just rent. Whenever they visit Walmart or Target, their parents foot the bill for groceries too, that and utilities. It makes it that much harder to make the case that the economy is on the up and up.
It's a new trend to help afford the finer things in life, moving back in with the parents.
Right, well, a new report reveals young adults are heading back to the nest to avoid the effects of inflation on rent.
It's a little bit stressful, but I'm trying to basically build this foundation for myself so that when I do move out, I'm not in a bad position.
21-year-old Ashley Liebig also feeling the burden, but says living on her own in Las Vegas was not possible, even with 2 jobs and finishing school.
I have a few friends or acquaintances that were like, all right, you're 18, get out of the house.
The report states when millennials and Gen Z young adults free up their budget for daily necessities,
I would never go and buy high quality things because at the end of the day, like, what am I going to do with this stuff? Like, that's very high price, like $2,000-$3,000. I mean, at that point, you might as well just buy an apartment.
Some might say that it's the kids' fault and that they're just not doing enough to get by. Have I got a surprise for you guys? More Americans are now tapping into their retirement accounts as they're also having issues getting by. Almost half of Americans are admitting to the fact that they have less savings than they did a year ago. In line with that, 401k withdrawals are also rising. So is this an us problem, or is everyone affected by the hardships brought about this economy? And since we don't have enough challenges in our lives, I've noticed a pattern that may line up with something that's been happening more and more frequently in our country. I'd like to start things off by saying that I have nothing against cheap energy. In fact, I would love it, especially if you can tell me that we can drive our cars at a fraction of the cost. I'd be all in. Keep the AC on as much as I want, you know what I mean? Have the heater going throughout the winter. Wouldn't that be a dream? But let's be realistic. The infrastructure for renewable energy is not in place and probably won't be for a long, very long time. But still, we're being told that we have to transition right here, right now. Not tomorrow, not next year, not 10 years from now, today. They want us buying up all these things that aren't going to be supported properly just yet. Makes no sense to me. But let's look at the facts when it comes to our electric grid. Would it be enough to power the nation without fail? Now I'm talking about existing infrastructure, not the ones for renewables just yet. Remember when California told their residents to not charge their EVs?
Can the state's power grid handle the eventual influx of all of these EVs?
Hopefully by the time that they have to, Nicole, but with this upcoming heat wave that is the most extensive the state and the West has seen so far this year, residents are being asked to conserve energy, and that includes not charging their cars from 4 to 9 p.m. The irony is that California is at the forefront of the push for electric vehicles. At the same time, they announced that the sale of gas-powered cars would be banned or illegal by 2035. Do they really insist that we just stay at home? Wouldn't it feel like prison or being locked down again? Now, I know I'm going to get at least a couple of comments arguing that you can't compare your home to a prison, but guys,
guys. You can if you're being told not to go out. It's basically the same concept. What separates you from someone in prison who also can't use a car and go anywhere? The control is at a whole nother level. Now, what's also worrying is the increased attacks to our fragile electric grid. Look at that spike. Who do they blame this time? And why aren't we hearing more of this? They want to push us to buy electric vehicles worth more than our annual income, while at the same time, if grids went down, who's driving? Batteries discharge after some time? I hope they realize that. If you think about it for a second, is this their way of trying to convince more of us to buy solar panels? To put our faith in renewable energy because they sure don't feel like protecting our existing electric grid infrastructure? For us to realize that the World Economic Forum was right? That this is the answer that we've all been looking for? You know what? I sometimes feel like problems rise up whenever they want to change something. This is an opinion, by the way, but look at lockdowns. None of us would have said yes if not for a supposedly deadly virus that we can't see. It also pushed many of us to get jabbed with drugs that weren't even tested properly. What are the odds that any of these things are connected to drive more of us toward a decision that we don't really have much control over? Doesn't that sound familiar? You want to fly to another state because your parents are there and they need you? Well, you need a passport for that. Not the one that you've been using all your life to visit other countries, a passport that we just made. Oh, you want to keep your job? It would be best to adhere to the new policies that were sent out through the company email. What's next? Forcing medicine on people who just want to collect on Social Security benefits? But look, what's the worst that can happen? They'll fine us if we use wood rather than electric heating? Wait, oh, this is actually happening in England where residents can be fined up to 300 euros if they burn wood to keep warm. What the heck is happening? Is this the happy accident that Anthony Blinken was talking about? You guys remember that, right?
Look, there's a lot of hard work to do to make sure that countries and partners get through the winter. Europe itself has taken very significant steps to both decrease demand, but also look at ways to pursue the transition to renewables at the same time. And ultimately, this is also a tremendous opportunity. It's a tremendous opportunity to once and for all remove the dependence on Russian energy, and thus to take away from Vladimir Putin the weaponization of energy.
So have people freeze or pay a huge fine? Way to stick it to Putin, guys. Unbelievable. It makes you wonder just how capable we are of doing so many incredible things. We've sent a rover to Mars. We got to the bottom of the Mariana Trench. We even have phone cameras that are even better than the cameras that we had a decade ago. I mean, you guys are watching me through the internet right now somehow, but we can't solve the issues that happen every single year. Winter, summer. Is it that we can't solve them or they just don't want to solve them? Let me know what you guys think. When we talk about problems that we want to solve, one of them is our financial troubles. But were you aware of how much easier life would be if you learned to budget or improve your cash flow with side hustles or small businesses? Because by then you'd have multiple streams of income. There's also the stock market and real estate that can be pretty profitable so long as you understand how to invest. Well, if you'd like to learn about any of these topics, feel free to join us over the Patreon community. There's a link in the description down below this video. But before I go, don't forget to drop a thumbs up for the video and subscribe for your daily dose of the truth. There is no sense in staying silent when we have the facts. Appreciate you guys watching. I'll see you guys on the next one. Be safe and be kind to one another.